am very excited to announce our Circler of the Month, Nicole Turnbull. I feel like I want to have a drum roll or something like that. Yeah, in the background. And one reason I'm really excited about this is because we did Circler of the Month for quite a while and then we've stopped it. Mm-hmm. And so you're our first person back again.
Exciting. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so it's super exciting. I really love finding out more about people who are members of our Being More Human Circle. And just so we know, there are two screens. One of the screens we're going directly into the Be More Human Circle, and they will understand what Circler of the Month means. Mm-hmm. For those people on the other screen, you won't understand what the circle is all about. So our business Being More Human has a group, and the group is called the Be More Human Circle. And every month we have a Circler of the Month. So Nicole is our Circler of the Month.
Hello.
Which is very exciting. And part of what that involves is having an interview and getting to share about yourself and your product and your company. If you have an event coming up, which I know Nicole does, we'll chat about a little bit later. But can we kick off just with you introducing yourself in general to us? Who are you? What do you do?
So my name's Nicole. I own a business called Neon Shed. And I'm a workplace communications expert, and I bring light to the dark side of work.
Ooh, I love that. Bring light to the dark side of work. Excellent.
Yes.
Tell me how you came about your business name, because that's not your average everyday kind of business name.
No, it's not.
Neon Shed. What's the symbolism behind it?
Well, it's kind of a couple of things. So in my career, I've actually found 7 dark sides of work. So I've experienced them, and they cause harm and damage to individuals, teams, and organisations. So what Neon Shed does is actually bring light to those issues so that you can name it, you can claim it, and reframe it. Mm-hmm. So you know how when you were young...
I'll try to remember way back then. I'll do my best.
And you always thought the shadows in the darkness were monsters.
Yes.
But as soon as you turn the light on, they disappeared. Mm-hmm. So that's
great analogy. I love that analogy.
Does. Yeah. Yep. And one of the other things is, one of the other focuses that I support is helping people or helping managers become leaders. So helping them develop their toolbox, basically. Mm-hmm. So I've got a number of tools that I've put in the Neon Shed that I can kind of bring out depending on what clients need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Excellent. And how long have you been doing this for?
This particular version, because it's always growing, about 6 months.
About 6 months,
yeah.
Cool. So you're still at that kind of scary but exciting stage of business, I'm
still
assuming.
A baby, yes.
Yeah. I'm 6 years in and I'm still at the same stage, so it's all right.
Yeah.
We were just chatting before we got on the live actually about how running your own business is just such, you take the next step and you're not really sure exactly if it's the right step, but you do it anyway. And then you evaluate, and then you take the next one, then you evaluate. It's not something that you can, plan your 10-year journey and that's how it works out. It's very different to that.
It is. And I kind of really like that about it too, because I had an idea of what I thought I would focus on, and I've just taken the next step and had conversations with people and asked them, what are the struggles that they're dealing with and what help that they need. And that's really kind of grown and changed my business model and where I can provide support. So
out of interest, in those conversations, what did you learn about what people are struggling with? Like out there on the street in a business, what's going on for people?
There's a lot of darkness. I've found there's 7 dark shadows at work. And
are you going to tell us what those 7 are?
I will.
Okay. All right.
Actually, before I do,
Yep.
You have such a great history and background in human resources, and also with your business and helping clients and things like that. What have you seen and experienced to be some of those dark sides before I filter your view with mine?
Well, if I refer to our own brand, Being More Human, the reason it's named Being More Human is because the biggest thing that I saw was that businesses were not concentrating on their humans.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't even care that they had real live people in front of them.
The machines.
Yeah, they were literally machines and they were treated that way.
Yeah.
And so like leaders and managers became so disconnected from their teams and from their staff that they ended up having to, whip them to get anything done. And we all know that whipping is not a sustainable form of motivation.
Yeah, who likes that?
And no one likes that. And really, when you get down to the crux of humans and what they want and who they are, there's much more similarity than difference. So I think one of the things that I noticed in our workplaces is there's a lot of focus on our differences. And personally, I don't do differences. I'll be focusing on what we are, who we are, and in what ways we are connecting, and in what ways we are the same. Yeah.
And strengths, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So the 7 dark sides I've found are bullying and harassment, discrimination.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Huge. And a stat I saw recently was that it's increased in the COVID times by 70%.
Wow.
So not just a little bit, a hell of a lot. Bullying, harassment, discrimination, mental health stigma, which again is not, a great time to have that either. Office politics, poor leadership.
And they all feed into each other, of course. There's never just one.
They really do. Yeah. Definitely.
Sorry, I stopped your flow there.
No, that's okay.
Poor leadership. You're up to poor leadership.
Profit before people, the environment and the community, and systems and structures.
Yeah.
So those are the big issues that people find, and I've not found many organisations where there hasn't been bullying and harassment and poor leadership. So a lot of the surveys that are happening out there...
No, I would agree with that. I'll give you an example. If we're coaching an executive team, and let's say there's 8 people on the executive team, and you're going through the coaching process, there might be 2 people in that executive that are really what you would put in the category of high-performing executives. And the other 6 are doing their best, but they're struggling. A lot of them have got there because they're good at something else and they get promoted through the organisation. But a lot of people become executives without actually understanding or ever being trained or ever being taught how to become an executive.
100%.
And that's what leads to poor leadership in the workplaces, is because it's not supported with training.
And how are you supposed to know? As you said, if you haven't had training, if you haven't had a great leader yourself, you haven't had mentoring, how are you supposed to know? And people are thrown into these roles and then expected to know everything about their team, expected to know the people stuff. And I've heard so many times that people say, well, she doesn't like the fluffy stuff, or he doesn't do, the people stuff. And as you know, it's the majority of leadership.
It's interesting because people say that in a really derogatory way, as though somehow, measuring or over-measuring or over-caping.
So, my first focus is on the bullying and harassment bucket, but it is so big. So I'm funneling that down to sexual harassment. So my goal is to eliminate sexual harassment in the workplace. And the reason why is because Australia has one of the worst reported incidents of sexual harassment in the world.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, so the Australian Human Rights Commission recently did a survey in 2018, and it announced that 1 in 3 people have been sexually harassed at work. And that's gone up from 1 in 5 in 2012. So it's getting worse. And then when you drill down a bit further, you look at the mining industry, for example. 40% of people have been sexually harassed at work. The telco and media industry, 81% of people have been sexually harassed at work. 81%,
wow.
2 out of 10
it's
people
almost guaranteed, isn't it?
Been,
yeah.
And I mean, you see movies like Bombshell
and just to clarify, because not everyone will understand exactly what sexual harassment is. So can you just explain to us those statistics? What are you actually measuring? What's included in that? And what, for example, would be excluded or not included in those measures?
Sexual harassment is much more clearly defined than bullying and harassment. So there is a lot of grey area around bullying, because even though it's still denied by some people or considered a joke, it's basically any sexual reference, sexual comment or sexual advance that is unwelcome and makes the individual that it is happening to feel degraded, humiliated or offended or intimidated.
Yeah, so what's really important about this, and with anything in workplace legislation, is it's not about the intent. It's not about the intent of the person telling the rude joke, even though their intent might just be to get a laugh, that doesn't mean that they're not doing an act that could be considered sexual harassment.
Yes.
And that's super important about the nuance of the definition.
Yes. Definitely. So it could be touch, it could be a comment. I mean, I know I've personally experienced it, not to the extent that others have, but I've been in an introduction meeting with someone who spoke to my chest.
Yeah.
Or just those comments that you just think you're married, and that's not appropriate. Like we're in a workplace, so and a lot of people don't know what to do, so they don't do anything.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they don't know what to do, they don't know who to go to, who to turn to, and they don't know. I think very often, especially with sexual harassment, they actually don't know if it's harassment or not.
Yes,
they don't know if they should just like suck it up and get on with it, or if it is actually genuine harassment that you can do something about. People don't know where those boundaries start and finish.
Yeah, and you need to be able to have those boundaries, but also organisations need to be providing training to say we have a zero tolerance on sexual harassment, on bullying harassment, on all of those things. And this is what it is, and this is what we won't accept, and this is what the consequences are.
Yeah.
A lot of organisations, and doing my research, a lot of organisations don't even have those policies, which just horrifies me. But the ones who do have it, the research is saying that it doesn't do anything towards improving bullying and harassment because it's not actionable, it's not being implemented. So training and constant training, it's not just a one-off. Here it is.
Tick the box, compliance. Okay, we've done that for the year.
Yeah.
What's next?
I mean, it's a cultural issue. It's a societal issue. These issues, bullying's getting worse. Harassment's getting worse. Like, leadership is difficult enough. Now do it online and now get thrown into, the last 12 months that we've had. We need to keep learning and growing and changing in everything, and that means these big issues as well.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think, the real shift to the online focus of work is very important. And I don't know that there's many leaders that I'm aware of anyway, as far as my clients are concerned, that have really thought through at a deep, deep level what the difference is between leading a face-to-face team to leading a dispersed team or a working at home team. And there is a lot of ways in which you have to be a different leader in order to get those outcomes. Yeah.
I've been lucky in my career where I've had both people within an office and also regionally as well. So I've had to figure it out to become a good leader. And I'm not saying I'm great, but there's a lot of tools that I've been able to review and use and develop and change, and that's what I chuck in the neon shed. But I've figured out what doesn't work and what does work, and I've had training. I've done over 10 years of development and leadership and all that sort of thing, and taken what's worked and kind of reshaped what hasn't, and talk to people, get 360-degree reviews. Don't be scared of that sort of stuff. It's about being better. Not being manager. I
think what's so important about that is, and I'm just thinking of a client that I've had recently where we're just doing their retest of data after a year. So we've got their baseline data from what they were like as leaders to start off with. Then we've got their retest a year later. They're like different people.
Yeah.
It is so encouraging to see those kinds of results and those kinds of outcomes. There's no such thing. When people say that people don't change, they're wrong. People change. And I am in the business of seeing people change every single day. And in this case, these people have changed significantly, substantially.
That's fantastic.
Into, much more exceptional leaders. Yeah. You could have said they were okay leaders before, but now they're more in the exceptional leader category.
And there's no standing still. Like, you can't just be who you are. The world changes. So if you stand still, you're going backwards in a way, because you're not learning and growing with society, with the times, with what's happening in the workplace. Like, you're either getting better or you're falling behind.
Yeah, that's right. Just want to say hi to Tuma, who's watching, and hi to anyone else who's watching. Let us know that you're there and jump on and let us know where you're calling in from. That would be great. So, Nicole, I know that you have a webinar or a training program coming up. Could you talk to us about that, please?
Yes. So I'm focusing first on eliminating sexual harassment in the legal profession, because I want to help the people that are helping us. And the IBA, the International Bar Association also has done research for 135 countries across the world, and Australia is unfortunately one of the worst performing for the legal profession. So more than 30% have been sexually harassed. And Australian statistics and research that I've seen, it's around the 60% mark. So I really want to focus on...
So this is lawyers in general, doesn't matter whether they're family law, commercial law, whatever, just lawyers?
That's right, yeah. Anyone in the legal profession. It is to support their professional development requirements as well. So if they attend, it'll give them points towards those. But obviously for anyone who's in the industry that wants to really make a change.
So it's also for receptionists or office staff or legal aid people or anyone who's within the legal industry more broadly.
Yeah. So it does go into specific legal profession information and data. It also goes into the legislation, but I provide tools and strategies for witnesses, for targets, and for management to be able to eliminate it in their workplace. And I also provide a courage continuum.
What's a courage continuum?
What that is a variety of options that people can either say or do during or after an incident, depending on how confident they are. So it gives such a wide variety so that you can say, okay, this is what I feel confident saying, or I don't feel confident saying anything, but I've witnessed it before and I want to be able to help because I don't want it to happen to me.
Yeah, you want something to be done about it.
Yeah. So there's things that you can do as any of those people that can stop it in its tracks. So it's pretty exciting because what you can also do is just you could print it out and have it on your desk. You could have it with you. You could go do some role plays with people that you know and trust. If it has happened to you and you want to be able to prepare for it.
So you use it as a guideline or a tip, like a series of tips about what to do next.
And it's actual words as well. So it's actual things. You don't have to think about making something up in the moment. When we are attacked or in an unsafe environment, as you know, we go into the fight, flight, or freeze mode, and our brain and our body stops working. So, and we have been in that state for a long time. Like the last 12 months has really put us in that state.
Yeah.
And if you're in a workplace where it's occurring to you or it's happening or it's accepted in the culture, you dread going to work. You are scared of it happening to you. We've all been in a toxic workplace and we've all wanted to get out of it as fast as possible. And you're not producing, you're not your best because your body and your brain just shut down. So I just want to take some of that pressure away from people.
So you do, like you said, you're delivering the webinar.
Yes.
And so how long is the webinar going to be to start off with? Because people want to know how many CPD or CLE, I think it is, for the law industry points are.
1.5.
1.5. Okay, cool. So if you jump on the webinar, you get 1.5 hours of CLE time. Do you have exact dates of the webinar as yet, or are you still working those out?
We have a couple. So there's one on the 3rd of March. There's also one on the 16th of March. And I'm looking to record it so that we can offer it to people that you can watch at any time.
Okay, right. Yeah. And we'll be able to put a link down below that'll lead you to the right place so that you can make sure that you are part of the webinar as well. So that would be excellent. Anything else you wanted to share about the actual webinar before we wrap up?
No, I'm pretty excited about it because I've been working with people in the legal industry and also my background in history is in work health and safety. So I've had 10 years at both safety regulators, the Workers' Comp Insurer and the Workers' Comp Review Office. So I understand the damage that these psychosocial hazards can have, and I've also, it's helped me develop tools and bring from that what really works.
Yeah.
The other thing that I offer is organisational support as well. So that can be anything from making sure you're recruiting the right people with the right values to performance management to tailored training, so packages that I can deliver to their executive or to their team. And also the zero tolerance actionable policies. So you can really have that embedded and implement that roadmap.
So it's really important not just to do the training by itself, but to wrap it around with policy and process and other tools and tips that you can give to people, which is it sounds like exactly what you're doing. So if someone wants to know more, how do they come to contact you?
You can visit my website,
which is
neonshed.com.au. I'm on all the socials, but LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me as well. So just look for Nicole Turnbull or Neon Shed. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you for having
Last
me.
question. What do you like about being in the Being More Human circle?
The content that you deliver. It's really, as we were saying earlier, it's about the people stuff. It's continually evolving and developing, and it's always on the money. So the resources that you provide are really great.
Fantastic.
And the network as well. Yeah.
So if you are on the other screen and you're not a member of the Being More Human circle and you would like to be, just search up the group and click request to join the group, and I will click yes to say you're welcome. And that would be fantastic. So thank you for being our circler of the month.
Thank you.
We hugely appreciate it.